This will be the first election since 1976 that will not include a Bush, Clinton, or Biden on the ticket.
And joining us now is the Democratic governor of the state of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. Governor, thanks for being with us. First, your reaction to the news that came down yesterday of President Biden stepping.
You will get a better understanding of why I like him, and I'm gonna be glazing him up again. By the way, from this point out.
Aside, and secondly, do you endorse Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket?
Well, thank you for having me this morning. I want to thank President Biden for being a phenomenal president. He led us out of a pandemic faster than we have ever seen. He showed up in Kentucky after natural disasters and has helped us rebuild. He's helped us build the best economy in our history, building the 2 largest battery plants on planet Earth, the cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill we've ever seen, creating jobs all over Kentucky and providing the funding to run internet access to every home and every business. His decision, I know, was hard, but it's going to secure his legacy that I believe historians are going to say was a great presidency. With that, I'm excited to fully endorse Vice President Harris as for the next president of the United States. The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president, but she's also kind and
I recall that longer time ago claimed that the genocide in China has stopped. I recall being surprised and afterwards looking for a media place confirming that point, and I wasn't able to find it. That might be the misinformation you spread. You mean the Associated Press article talking about how the Uyghur concentration camps had closed down? Is that what you're talking about? I think it was this. I mean, this is one of the articles. Terror and tourism. Xinjiang eases its grip, but fear remains. Let me see if I can find the other Associated Press article. I don't know why we're doing this right now. This is a distraction. But there wasn't associated. Your general vibe feels like disinformation. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. All right, let's get to Bashar.
Has empathy, which can make her a great president. And the contrast between her and those running on the other side couldn't be clearer. As a prosecutor, as an attorney general like I used to be, she prosecuted rapists, domestic abusers, stood for victims, and put away those abusers. Now look at the other side, where J.D. Vance calls pregnancy arising from rape inconvenient. No, it's just plain wrong. He suggests that women should stay in abusive relationships. Listen, a domestic abuser isn't a man, he's a monster, and no one should support anyone having to stay in those relationships. So the vice president is ready. She has my full endorsement. I'm going to do everything I can to support her.
All right.
Does he have the charisma for the job? Yes. Yes, I do think so. Dude, he's Wonder Bread. He's white as hell. He even has a twang, okay? But more importantly, he's one of the most popular governors in the country in a deep red state like Kentucky, okay? He's got twang. He's got swag. He fucking fights. He fights hard for things that he believes. As crackdown eases, China's Xinjiang faces long road to rehabilitation. Yeah, this is one of the many articles that was written about the fucking camps closing. Which, by the way, I'd never said the camps didn't exist, for the record. That would be misinformation if I had done that, but I didn't do that. Anyway, it's like self-defeating. It's self-defeating liberal copium when we do this shit, when it's like, oh, right-wingers and this one guy on the left is actually identical in terms of like spreading misinformation. It's just so stupid. But, you know, sometimes dumb liberals love doing that kind of stupid shit. How do you think Bashar would do in a debate against J.D. Vance? I think he'd cook him. Okay? I think he would absolutely cook him. Especially because Bashar is also like, he's a real Kentucky boy who has love for where he's from. His family's been in Kentucky politics, whereas J.D. Vance is someone who postured for liberals desperately, like the affection of liberals desperately. Notice none of these guys ever cite a thing you say when they call you misinformation. Yeah, I know. They would say, Hassan, oh God, I'm doing it again. Who cares? All right, let's continue.
All right, some news this morning here. Full endorsement from Governor Beshear of Vice President Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. As you know very well, Governor, because of your record of being elected and reelected as a Democrat in the state of Kentucky, which Donald Trump won in 2020 by about 26 points, people are very interested in you and your future in politics. Has anyone reached out to you from the new Harris campaign about the potential for being the vice presidential candidate, her running mate?
Well, I don't know how that process is going to work. It's flattering to be a part of it. You know, I take it as a compliment, though, to what we've done in Kentucky. You know, what we've done in Kentucky is what we need to do in this country. It's to move beyond the partisanship, the constant arguing, get beyond neighbors yelling at other neighbors just because of the box they checked when they registered to vote. We need to turn the temperature down and recognize that the most important things to our families, like a good job, health care, safe infrastructure, public safety, public education, none of those are partisan at all. And if we work hard every single day to make progress in those areas, we help all our citizens, not just Democrats, not just Republicans. And this country's has gotten to a boiling point where we just have to move past it. We've got to move to something better. We've got to get back to being Americans and not members of a political party. I believe that that the vice president will win this election. She will move us in that direction, and that's why I'm very excited to provide my full endorsement to her.
And so,
Follow up on the bet with Hutch. Cast that aside. If they just drop that.
So I actually made a bet a few weeks ago with somebody at my meeting that I go to on Monday nights. I made a $100 bet that they would not replace Biden. And I'm hoping, I think there's like a 50-50.
Dude, why the fuck would you get your fucking politics from a goddamn Call of Duty player, dude? Like, I'm sorry. You're like, this is what you deserve. If you're like, oh, I wonder what like an older COD player has to say about this particular thing, like, you deserve to be wrong all the time. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
50 chance that he forgets.
You just subscribed.
I think.
Cast that aside. If they just drop that.
So I actually.
Hey, Hudge is all right, man. No, man. Shut the fuck up. No, he's not. He's like. He's not all right. And I say this as someone who played COD with him back in the day. Like, I had a lot of love for him, but over the years, he's become this person who's like very, I don't know, very smug. And I know a lot of people say that about me too, but it's like, yeah, at least I know what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. I didn't just get in on this conversation last second and just basically repeat shit that you heard on MSNBC or Destiny, okay? Even he is new to the fucking fold in comparison to someone like myself. Like, I've been doing this for longer than he has as well, which, you know, every time I bring that up, his fan base gets real fucking mad about that, but that's the truth. That's the reason why, you know, the things that I say are maybe a little bit more valid and get proven to be fucking true. It's not because I'm like brilliant either. It's just I have experience, more experience. And I'm not simply going to like MSNBC for takes to repeat. But you know, it happens.
So, Governor, would you then be open to the possibility of being a running mate to Vice President?
Sorry for the link. He's been trashing me and you while being wrong, and it's been pissing me off. Also, he owes me $1,500. Yeah, I mean, who cares? Yeah, I don't really care about Hutch's political perspectives, and it is for his sake that I've refused to cover what he has to say about this issue or any other issue for, you know, I don't know why we're even talking about it. I don't want to. I mean, I hope you get your money. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. You're probably not going to get that money, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
President Harris.
Yeah. Well, let me first say I love my job. I love serving the people of Kentucky. The only way I would consider something other than this current job is if I believed I could further help my people and to help this country. I also think, whether I'm asked for that or not, that it's important to be out there, you know, contrasting the vice president and those that she is running against. I believe her record is one of standing up for people, is fighting for the American people, and the record on the other side is just fighting for themselves.
So as vice president, you undoubtedly would be able to help your own people. So are you at least open to the possibility of being a running mate to Vice President Harris?
Well, I think if somebody calls you on that, what you do is at least listen. And I want the American people to know what a Kentuckian is and what they look like, because let me just tell you that J.D. Vance ain't from here. Now, the nerve that he has to call the people of Kentucky, of Eastern Kentucky, lazy. Listen, these are the hardworking coal miners that powered the Industrial Revolution, that created the strongest middle class the world has ever seen, powered us through 2 world wars.
Yeah, that's why he's great. As a perfect counter for Vance. And I hope they see that. He's a real one. He's the guy. He's the method. He's the movement. I think he's the best possible guy. I really like Pritzker as well, but the major reason why I like him is because he's not in Illinois. He's in fucking Kentucky. And at a time when so many Democrats in the Democratic Party that are in red states behave like cowardly Joe Manchin stereotypes, he breaks that mold and never fucking stands down, never compromises on his perspective, especially when it comes to the endless, relentless attacks against some of the most marginalized Kentuckians. I really like that. So they won't pick him? No, I think they could. I think they would. And the reason why I think so is because he also hits the optics angle really well. He is one of the most popular governors in the country in Kentucky. His COVID restrictions were seen as like broadly positive in the state of Kentucky.
Race was also interesting in a lot of ways, but one of the issues that came up was, of course, trans rights. I mean, you did not hesitate.
We covered this already. I covered this already this morning. let's go back to his video because I want to finish.
We
this.
should be thanking them, not calling them lazy. And so today was an opportunity to both support the vice president, but also to stand up for my people. Nobody calls us names, especially those that have worked hard for the betterment of this country.
So, Governor, you've been able to win election there in a state that overwhelmingly went for Donald Trump. So with that in mind, what should some of the messages be from the Democratic ticket going forward, whether you're on it or not, as it tries to paint this contrast with Donald Trump?
Well, what we've got to do is have a message for everyone. What we see from former President Trump are division and trying to rile one group up against others. My faith tells me that's wrong. Golden Rule says we love our neighbor as ourselves.
Hallelujah, baby. He said, my fate tells me that's wrong. Dude. Anytime somebody's like, yo, what about this guy? I just want to show them his family photo. His Merry Christmas ass photo. That's like a fucking flashbang grenade, okay? This dude is a faith build. He is the whitest motherfucker out there. He's got a southern twang. He is OP, okay?
And the parable of the Good Samaritan says everyone is our neighbor. So how about a unifying message that can bring people together and move us past this boiling point in our country? How about we focus on the things that matter most to people when they wake up in the morning? Because when people wake up in the morning, they're thinking about their job and whether they make enough money to support their family. They're thinking about their next doctor's appointment for themselves.
By the way, dude, another thing you have to remember, he's not even doing the bullshit calls for unity that Democrats love doing or bipartisanship. He's literally saying, we got to focus on shit that matters for everyday Americans. None of this fake chaos and division caused by the Republicans. He's hitting Republicans. He's calling them out for culture war talking points. And he's basically bringing it back to policies. This is what you hear from the likes of Bernie Sanders. This is also part of the reason why Bernie Sanders, for the 600 years that he's been in office, has seen as like broadly popular and real, like earnest. He's doing that right now. This conversation is phenomenal. It's not a fake call for bipartisanships. It's not a fake call for Republicans to be a stronger party. It's not even fucking calling the question at the top of the hour ad break and trying to unify against it at the top of the hour by saying, hey, listen, if you don't want to see those ads, just like the rest of the community, all you need to do is subscribe. He reads as wholesome, very Christian. I'm telling you, he would be cooking, okay? Yeah, we already covered this earlier today, but I guess people weren't in here. I might as well play it again. He went on a fucking pro-trans message in Kentucky twice. Pro-abortion and pro-trans. And he's fucking popular. Like, you don't understand what that means. Some of your ad breaks make me wonder if you are indeed a good person. Oh, man.
Themselves, their parents, their kids. They're thinking about the roads and bridges they're going to drive on that day. They're thinking about the public safety in their community, and they're thinking about the school they're dropping their kids off at. That's what most people worry about. And if we can't satisfy that, they don't get to whatever the issue of the day is in Washington, D.C. No, the message ought to be, I'm in this to build a better life for everyone, not just Democrats, not just Republicans. You know, I run as a proud Democrat. But the moment I became Attorney General and Governor, I took that hat off and I serve every single citizzen of my Commonwealth. And that's why in re-election, I was reelected by 5 percentage points, being a Democrat in Kentucky. That's like 30 anywhere else. But I think it's just people saw who I am and how hard I was trying, and that whether you voted for me or not, I wanted to make your life better. That's what we need to hear from our candidates, and that's what Vice President Harris can do. People want to get back to normalcy. They want to be able to wake up in the morning and check the news, but not have to worry about what crazy thing happened the other day or what crazy thing somebody said. They want to be able to put their kids in front of the TV and not worry about what a former president will say and the language that he'll use. That's who we are as an American people, and that's what we want to get back to.
Pro-union, anti-charter school, pro-LGBTQ rights, uncompromising, insanely fucking, insanely Southern. Okay? He's perfect. I love that a chatter said pro-Israel. If you can find me one American congressperson currently up for the VP nod that is not the most loyal servant to the state of Israel, with the exception of like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, okay? Like a valid choice that will not also have a potential contested seat or anything like that. You are fucking delusional. Saying someone is pro-Israel when talking about the American Democratic Party or the American Republican Party is like saying they're pro-America. Israel is literally a part of America. It's a state, okay? It's the 51st state, but like an important state. Perhaps even seen as a more important state than fucking Kentucky.
I think you're making a great point, Governor, in your endorsement of Kamala Harris, and I want to ask you more about that. You said earlier, and I thought it was very interesting, we need to get back to becoming Americans. And to your point, what has become partisan in the past few years, or since Trump became president, since he served, is democracy. The concept of democracy. Trump Republicans ignore so much, and they spew out a lot of disinformation, and all of it is working against our democratic values. So who do you hope in this election? Is it really about Democrat and Republican, or is it about democracy? Who do you hope will step up and support the Democratic nominee, and you hope it'll be Kamala Harris? Is it important in this moment to cross the aisle even, to really make this about the future of our democracy as we know it? Whether it be George W. Bush or military leaders along with the Obamas and the Clintons, how much, Governor, is at stake in this election?
Well, a lot is at stake. And let me say it's always important to cross the aisle because those are our neighbors. Those are our friends, and we can't let ourselves become so divided because we checked a box that said D or R, when all of us are unique. We're made up of the experiences of our lives, and we have different views, even if we're a member of a same party. And so we've got to make sure that we have that dialogue, and we've got to give people the ability, the permission to vote for whoever they think is going to be the best candidate. Mm-hmm. You know, partisanship is now everywhere. From the car you drive to the beer you drink, you're supposed to pick a side. And we just...
Oh, I'm going to nut. I'm going to nut. I'm going to nut. I'm going to nut. Oh, he even brought the beer. Oh, my God. He's doing the Bud Light memes. Oh, my God. I'm nutting. Oh. If I'm in Kentucky, I'm like, that's right. That's my goddamn governor, man. He's right about that. What has become of this goddamn country? Telling us you're nutting when you're actually not nutting is misinformation. Okay, fair. I'll dial back my misinfo on when I'm nutting. Hell yeah, birder. This is my governor. I love my governor, and my governor loves Tupac. Yeah, I have your link, chatter. Don't worry. Hold on, I gotta
Can't
pee.
continue that. And that's why I think that the vice president can give a compelling message about being better. For me, that's certainly about my faith, and it's about living my faith and caring about absolutely everyone. And so this election, especially with the contrast of such a divisive figure like former President Trump, who spews anger, that we can create a contrast that hopefully not only wins this election, but moves us past all this craziness we've been living in. I want a better world for my kids. I want better government for my kids. I want a Congress that works, but I certainly want a president that they can sit in front of the TV and watch. And whether I agree or disagree with what they're talking about, I know they'll do it in a respectful way.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that you want to be able to put your kids in front of the TV and not be worried what's going to come out of the president's mouth. Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, he really crystallized it. Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning, making news this morning here on Morning Joe.
That fucking outro is long as hell, brother. Here, let's take a look at. Oh, before that, sorry. Here, this is what he had to say in November 20th, 2023, when he got reelected. After he got reelected, on a pro-trans, like unconditional support for LGBTQ Kentuckians. After he demonstrated that he doesn't give a fuck and he doesn't play that.
This was also interesting in a lot of ways, but one of the issues that came up was, of course, trans rights. I mean, you did not hesitate to veto a sweeping anti-trans bill passed by the Kentucky state legislature, but your opponents still kind of came after, they also, because of that, probably came after you on that. It didn't work. What does that tell you about the effectiveness of this kind of an attack and, this approach from a lot of Republicans out there?
Well, all children are children of God. That's what my faith teaches me, and I was going to stand up especially for the most marginalized children that didn't deserve either a state legislature or an entire campaign and all these super PACs picking on them. These are individuals that are already at the margin.
You know that this is a HasanAbi favorite? Like, the greatest way to neutralize the trans panic arguments is by being like, why do you care so much? Like, that's weird. Even though some of my own trans chatters have oftentimes been at odds with me on this messaging, it is a million times more effective than trying to fucking bring up empirical evidence or like talk about trans suicide rates or anything like that. Well, that part actually you could do in this argument as well, but the best way to talk about it is like, they are children of God too, if you're into God, right? They're just normal people trying to live their fucking daily lives. Why do you want to make their lives worse? They're such a tiny, marginal percentage of the population, and you're spending all of your fucking time trying to harm them when you should be spending some of this goddamn time fixing the fucking potholes. Okay? That's it. That's a winning message. That's the method, baby. The greatest way to neutralize the trans panic arguments is just to be like, dude, you're fucking weird. Trans people don't even think about trans people this much. The fuck's wrong with you? Be fucking normal. And it's true. Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh know more about the latest in like trans culture or trans people. If a trans person sneezes weirdly in a fucking 3-mile vicinity, Ben Shapiro's alerted about it. You know what I mean? Like, they are more tapped in to what the fuck is going on with trans people than most trans people. I think the issue is that the trans spread like cockroaches, so you need to shut them down. Oh yeah, this is an all-time great. That guy is fucking insane, by the way. You mods, clap that fucking dipshit.
And women's restrooms for women who have penises and they just want to stand and pee.
I think people are just making too big of a deal about it. I don't really care.
Naughty words. Okay, so we should or shouldn't?
I mean, I don't really care.
Okay. What about tampons and pads in men's restroom for men who have periods?
If you're really getting that worked up about it, why does it matter? Like, I don't care. It's just sitting there. I'm not going to take it.
Okay, so we should provide men with tampons.
I mean, if a dude wants a tampon for some reason, he can have a tampon. That's not my business.
What would he use it for?
I don't know. That's his problem.
What would he use a pad for?
His problem.
Do you think they should seek medical advice if they're having bleeding?
I mean, if they want to, I don't really care. Why should I care?
I don't know, I care about people. If they're bleeding out of their penis, I would want to...
I care about people's personal rights. They can do whatever they want. It's none of my business.
What the fuck is that video?
Out, put...
It's just so perfect. Why do you care about this shit? Is such a good fucking question to ask when the shit that they care about is hurting no one. And there's a lot of Republican commentary around shit that hurts nobody. You know?
The studies show suffer more mental health issues, are more at risk for suicide. We ought to be in the suicide prevention business and not further harming kids who are going through too much. I did it because it was the right thing, but I will say that the way these super PACs and my opponent went about their campaign was just mean, and it was gross, and it was cruel, and people don't like that. That is not who we are, and this ought to be a message that you can't scapegoat people just to get folks angry, and it's wrong, right? Think about what some people are doing, trying to dehumanize other human beings, trying to turn people against each other, to even foster hate and anger towards another American here, another Kentuckian. Why? So you can elect one more person that has a certain letter behind their name. Listen, this can't be right and left. Some things have to be basic right and wrong, and we've got to get our politics back to where we ask the basic question of right and wrong. There's got to be limits. I mean, this can't be a ruleless type of game because it's so much more than a game. Ask any of these kids.
He wasn't running for president, or sorry, he wasn't running on the presidential ticket potentially when he was saying that. That was in November. They usually argue that they spread the propaganda on the kids at school. No, that's great. That's when you can fucking be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What propaganda? Is that how you think it works? When you see like a gay person existing in school, that you become gay? Are you gay? Are you having homosexual thoughts right now? Have you seen a gay couple on your way to this conversation? Is that perhaps the reason why you want to suck a penis currently? I don't want to suck a penis right now. I see gay shit all the time. I live in West Hollywood. This is the gay mecca. The thought never crosses the mind, however. You know? These guys are delusional, and all of the trans panic, the grooming narratives, all of that stuff is cultivated in a desperate attempt to generate post hoc rationalizations, post hoc rationalizations as to why you must hate gay people. It's the answer to that first question. Why do you care? When they're asked that question, that's when they try to flail around and look for a reason.
We are going to resolve this week. Now, understand that, unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of time in these, because a couple of bad apples can make this challenge that much more difficult. For instance, we had somebody apply for unemployment for Tupac Shakur here in Kentucky, and that person probably thought they were being funny. They probably did, except for the fact that because of them, we've got to go through so many other claims that one person thinking that they were funny, using somebody else's identity, is going to make tens of thousands potentially of other people wait. It's not okay. We can't be doing that, and we shouldn't be doing that as we move forward. But even with that, our goal is to get through those last March claims this week. And I'm going to have a number tomorrow for those after the payments have gone out tonight that are still waiting, that they can call directly. It's going to be just for them. Because if you filed in March and you haven't received anything yet, I'll be darned if we are not going to get it done this week, or we are not going to communicate with you. We're going.
So that's part one. Here's a part two follow-up, which makes it even funnier.
I owe somebody an apology tonight. Last night I spent a little bit of time talking about fraudulent claims holding us up, and mentioned an individual that had filed in the name of Tupac Shakur. I didn't know, and it's my fault, that we have a Kentuckian who goes by Malik, whose name is Tupac Shakur. I talked to him on the phone today. I apologized. I told him how it happened, but I owned it. It's my fault. He was gracious. I said, I'm sorry if I embarrassed him or caused him any attention he didn't want. He was very kind. He ended the call. God bless. And we're going to make sure that we resolve his claim. Malik, thank you for being so kind. And again, I'm sorry.
There you go. What is happening on CNN? What? I don't know if you're Brett. I think you aspire to be Brett. You just don't become Brett. You have to try.
That is a cool thing. It has a color. Chartreuse is the color, and Kamala Harris has adopted that for...
Remember yesterday when we didn't live in this timeline and I said, I really hope that they don't lean into this meme or any number of different memes that the Kamala Harris campaign will probably inevitably lean into in an effort to keep the momentum organic. It took them literally less than 12 hours to actually obliterate it. I fucking hate these careerist charlatans. Some of you are in here that make these short-term beneficial goals in an effort to get some news media coverage around it, and then you end up cooking your organic marketing opportunities. That is definitely a 30-year-old staffer that is responsible for this, leaning into the brat memes. You fucked it up.